Greetings to you wherever you are. This morning I want to speak to you on a very important subject, and it is my desire that this life will be a great blessing in your life in every way. You see, it is my wish that you prosper and you be in good health as your soul prospers, because it's about your soul I really want to talk about. That's the reason why this video is called Neville Godard Ancient Science and Technology Strategy. Okay, because I'm gonna show you that everything that he has been teaching, that it is not something new. It's something that has always been there. And then I'm gonna show you now what you're gonna discover about yourself. It is not something new that you're gonna discover. It is that you're gonna realize that it was always there all the time. That is the realization you will come to. And so when you come into true realization, you realize how much you do not know and how experience will always be your greatest teacher. Okay? And so from since the dawn of time, men would have had mystical experiences. Men would have had experiences that put them in a place whereby they were ahead of the masses. And the reason why they were ahead of the masses, because they were vibrating on a high level of frequency. Okay? And their discovery has always been discovering that everything is energy. Therefore, if they discover that everything is energy, it is because they will also discover the technology to create. And this energy to create have a lot to do with your physiology, your biology, your physiology, and your psychology, your body and your mind. Well, just as your body and your mind is connected, so too you must be connected with the rest of nature. And you must know who holds the authority and power in nature. So if you're gonna seek to know who holds the power and authority in nature, then you would realize that that which holds power and authority in nature is in the heavens, and it is above. It's above your head. So it is the secret that is above your head that Neville been teaching. And if you read books that were written before Neville was even born, books back in the 1800s and so on, you would realize that there are people who had known about this ancient science, which I call the inner sun science and technology. It is solar technology. And they could change the words and they could speak about energy, vibration, and frequency. They could speak about the law of assumption. They can say imagination. Doesn't matter which terminology. It is always this ancient knowledge or secret of light. So, discovering light, discovering energy, it is not something new because there's actually nothing that is new under the sun. So all of Neville Goddard teaching is solar technology. Inner solar technology I'm speaking about. That is why for a very long time I've been offering, teachings on the inner sun science and technology to create your reality consciously. The sun is always in the process of creating. It is the center of creation. And the center of creation that is in you is referred to as your imagination. Therefore, the ancient secret of creating has always been the secret of light, the secret of energy, and how the energy being transmuted. And even in the Stone Age, there has always been the haves and the have-nots. And those who had, it is because they were in certain alignment, and those who had not, it's because they were also in certain alignment. So from since the dawn of time, there have always been leaders, people to guide their brothers and their sisters and so on, and those around them. So too, if you find the source that is in you, the power that is in you, you would realize that it is ancient because consciousness have always been and will always be. And what reflects consciousness in the physical three-dimensional world? It is the sun. So all mind science is sun science. All thinking comes from your consciousness. And when you experience the awakening of your consciousness, it is in the same shape like the sun. It's a one eye like the sun, a single eye. Some people call it the pineal gland. But it is an activation that is taking place. And when that activation takes place within you, it will open up your insight, the way how you see things. So Neville wasn't teaching anything new. That's why I would encourage you to learn as much as you can about Amun-Ra. Learn as much as you can about the story of Horus and Osiris and so on. And you would realize it is the same story that have been told in all different era. But it's all pointing back to the giver of life. You see, I've been teaching that without the sun, there's no life and there's no light. And with the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. And the reason why I was able to teach that is the experience I would have had, because of the awakening experience that I would have had. So whenever you have a real, genuine experience, you would know these things. But as time go by, people use different words. Like, for example, what they call law of attraction now, it wasn't called law of attraction. Okay? But all in all, I'm saying there's only one power, and it is sun power. So basically, if you are out of alignment with the sun, you're going to suffer lack and you're going to suffer scarcity. That's why whenever you hear Neville say, if a person say, Lord, or God, or Savior, and they look to anything outside of themselves, they have the wrong God. But he's not telling you how people or how the masses end up thinking that way, or believing in that way, or who programmed them that way. And the solution is so simple. Okay? Yet many people make it seem as if it is so complicated. All energy comes from the sun. The sun is the source of all things on this planet. So the only thing you can look at to reflect God, it would be the sun. And we refer to everything that we see on the outside, and we refer it to the solar system. All of nature call it solar system. Well, if everything on the outside is a reflection of that which is within, then you have to have an inner solar system, because you have a soul. So this is ancient knowledge that has been passed down from mystics to mystics to mystics to mystics to mystics. Wise men, from one wise man to another wise man to another wise man to another wise man. And it's only through experience one could be initiated into teaching these things. So, my brother, my sisters, again, let me say it's all sun science. And if you would like to learn more about the inner sun science and technology and how this inner sun science and technology works, if you want to go deeper down the rabbit hole, you can definitely reach out to me. And I'll teach you this ancient science. It is a science that are known by wise men all throughout the ages. It is basically you getting in alignment with the sun. And so I would like to help you to get in alignment with the sun. Okay, so you can reflect. You see, everything that happens on the outside in your life, all of your experiences, it is basically a reflection of what is happening under the sun. Everything is happening under the sun. So they take the sun science and they teach it in many different ways. And that is why I want melanated people to wake up and to realize that as a people of the sun, you have to know the science of the sun. You have to live by the science of the sun. The plants, the animals, they all abide by the science of the sun. They all align with the science of the sun. They're always receiving from the sun. And they're always growing and striving and expanding and being fruitful in the sun. They can't do without the sun. If they look to any other savior than the sun, they will become fruitless. If they look any other place for nourishment, they will become fruitless. They have to look to the sun. They have to love and embrace the sun and operate by the sun's energy. And the sun and everything else is aligned with certain order and certain law. That's why everything starts from small. That's a law. Everything starts with a burning desire. That's a law. Whatsoever you sow, that also shall you reap, because everything is governed by law. So the ancient law have always existed from since the dawn of time. Because time is measured by the sun, and there's nothing new under the sun. And the sun is what holds all the power and all the authority to give you whatsoever you desire. But you have to be in alignment with the sun, which means you have to be in alignment with nature. You're out of alignment with nature. You're out of alignment with the law of farming. You're out of touch with nature. Why? Because you turn your back from your savior, the sun, the sun. The sun provides you water to quench your thirst, to show you that he is a provider, to show you that he's a healer. And you turn your back against the sun. You turn away from the sun and you choose darkness instead. In other words, you choose ignorance instead. So, to all the melanated people who this video will find, I want to say to you that when you realize that they switch the SUN and give you the SON, then you will understand where Neville Godard is really coming from. And the many others. You realize this is ancient knowledge our ancestors put in all form and all form of symbolism. And you can chase all of the symbolism. I will give you the same answer that I'm giving you here right now. Everything is recorded in the Akash. That's where you get the Akashic record from. When they put in the Bible, the book of Chronicles, they try and copy, okay, the Akashic record. Because everything in the Bible is basically about the sun, the S-U-N. And the same people who turn you away from the S-U-N, they want to turn around and act as if they are educating you concerning the very thing they gave you and interpret to you to keep you trapped in a dimension of lack and scarcity, in a dimension where you do not realize that you are the master. The sun is the master. The sun is who holds authority on this planet, and your presidents and prime ministers, where they get their pattern from, your kings and your queens, where they get their pattern from. Do you know that the bees, they normally have a king and a queen, and the queen is who does lead the bees, and they don't travel without the queen. Look at this age that we're living in with computer and the internet, and you see it is the same pattern in the solar system. That's why you when you wake up, you realize all knowledge come from the solar. It's all solar science and technology. Doesn't matter how intellectual they may sound. Doesn't matter how much books they may read. Doesn't matter how many different people they may quote as their mentors. None of it could be without the sun. It's always the science and technology of the sun. The light. Your consciousness is light. Your awareness is light. That's why no one is bringing no new information for you. And so our ancestors, in many different ways, leave that message in symbology for us. And many people don't realize it. For example, in my country, which is the only country in the entire world that celebrates what is known as 9 morning, that was something left by our ancestors, and the people in the country can unfold it. I can unfold it, and that's why I'm offering a course and a challenge. Basically, it's a course and it's also a challenge, and it's a 9-day challenge, and it is called 9 morning magic. 9 mornings. For 9 mornings, that's what the challenge is about. Okay, I'll start to upload it and get it ready and keep you informed about it. But that was ancestors leaving a symbolic message, and what they did, they normally celebrated 9 days before the 25th of December. Because it's all solar in nature, but the people in the country do not know that it's solar in nature. And I've been for years now utilizing it in a different way than the masses. Okay, and it was just yesterday when I woke up after 4 a.m. Okay, and that's where my ancestors start speaking to me and showing me deeper secret of the solar technology. Okay, and give me even further clarity on the spiritual system that has always been in my country, and how from a boy growing up, I remember how we used to celebrate 9 morning, and now at this stage 2026, it's totally something different that the people doing. Something totally different. Yet the ancestors contacted me and revealed to me this ancient science and technology. So what they did, they tell the people that they were pagans and that they used to worship the sun. So even Ellen G. White, she was a part of it too, okay? Because they had an agenda to keep black people still asleep for as long as possible, okay? Because it's a dream and they don't want you to wake up out of the dream, okay? And so they trap you. And how they trap you? They get you to believe that you never had any spiritual science or any spiritual technology, and that you are dumb, illiterate people, and then you are educated by them. But because of cycles, because the sun operates under a lot of cycles, and so the keepers of time know the cycle when a mass awakening will take place. So because they already know that a mass awakening will take place, and when this mass awakening start taking place, the sun don't give a damn. It will rise up in anyone. It could be any man from any way. The sun, once been activated, will rise up and we will experience the dawning of a new day. And so they had to wrap this ancient science and technology in many different forms, whether is it self-help, whether is it self-development or whatever. They put it in many different forms and give it to you. But because it is something that's already uploaded and downloaded in our DNA, we come to a place of remembrance. That's why I could tell you what Neville Godard is teaching is ancient science of the sun, ancient technology of the light, which represents the sun. That's why I've been teaching the inner sun science and technology to create your reality consciously. It's an ancient technology. The sun is not a god to worship, it's a technology to embrace. It's a science to embrace. If you sit and you think about how the trees get to manifest and bring forth, and you've been given power over the trees, how the animals does manifest and bring forth, and you're supposed to be above the trees and you're supposed to be above the animals. Yet, you can't manifest, you can't bring forth because you're out of alignment with the sun. You're gone after other gods. You forget Amun. You forget the gods of Kemet. You forget the God of your ancestors. And the same people who make you go after other gods are acting as if they are bringing light to you when the light is already downloaded in you and must be activated in you. Because there's nothing new under the sun. So it's not no Neville Godard teaching, and no Neville Godard wisdom, and no Neville Godard this or that. There's no rulership when it comes to the sun, no one can rule the sun. But we can see those who want to charge us for electricity that come from the sun. They want to charge us for water that come from the sun. They want to charge us for everything that comes from the sun. Well, you can't fight against that system when everyone is walking along with that system. All you have to do is learn how to utilize that system by going to the original system, which is your solar system. You are a soul living in a body. You're just having a human experience. That is why you have to use solar magic. You have to use solar magic. You have to be illuminated. You can't be illuminated without light. And then you have to discover your light body. So, my brother, my sisters, this ancient wisdom is something that already in your DNA. It just needs to be activated, and you come to that place of remembrance. That's how I was able to know there was no actual man named Abdullah that taught Neville that. And they have gone so far right now. There's a channel named, I think it's Manifesting Access, something like that. Gone so far that they have an AI, a black man, an AI black man, with the hand moving everything. That if you don't know, you believe that there was actually a living, moving man named Abdullah who taught Neville Godard these things. When these things are actually what has been downloaded in your DNA since the dawn of time through the Akash. You're carrying the Akashic record and you don't even know it. It's not about knowledge, it's about remembrance. It is about waking up from the dream. Because whenever you wake up out of the dream, you can't go back to sleep again. And if you look at the cycle of the sun, you're going to sleep and you're waking back up. The sun is going to sleep and the sun is waking back up. And it's coming back every day to save you and to deliver you. And every morning it rises on the horizon of the sea. It walks upon the water. And then it gives the plants its nourishment when it rains. And you take the fruit and you make wine. That is alchemy right there. That is transmutation of energy right there. So transmutation of energy. And when it comes to energy, vibration, and frequency, you watch nature and you see it. That's why everything that's written in the Bible is a science and a technology that is written there, hidden in symbology. And here, this is the good news. Our ancestors would have hid everything in symbology. That is why I know that we have always had a spiritual science. Nobody can fool me. Nobody in this world could fool me. It is impossible for anyone to fool me, to believe that melanated people didn't have an ancient science and technology. I know. I believe I know. And I know how to operate that ancient science and technology. That's why I'm telling you straight up. It's a solar science and technology. And once you walk with me, I teach you how to operate that solar technology. You've been looking all over the place when it is within you. So If it is within you, it can't be new. If it is within you, it can be attributed to Neville or anyone else. I teach in the inner sun science and technology. I've never heard any man teach it before. But I know that there are those who would have known about it before. So it can be attributed just to me. I'm just continuing from my forefathers. I'm just carrying on the work. So when you study the life of all the saviors in the world that they tell you about, and you look at all of the religion, you would realize everything pointing you back to the sun. Everything pointing you back to the solar system. And they always have a man at the top. Where they call him a imam, I call him a pope, you call him a Buddha, or you call him a Shiva. It doesn't matter which name you call him. You refer him back to the power. You refer him back to the energy. You refer him back to the source. The sun is the source on this planet. That is why if the eye awaken you, your whole body must be full of light. And you can't teach people to look within and not tell them that they are the light. The light of the world is the sun. And you have to reflect the sun by being more creative, more productive. Creativity and productivity is a reflection of nature. And that is what you have to reflect in your life. So everything that Neville Godard would have taught has always been right in nature, but people couldn't see it. Because why? They were taught to look for God on the outside. And they were reading the story of the sun, the S-U-N, and they think it's a S-O-N. And they read that the sun took a ship and he go over to the next side and the lake and he healed many over there. And they fail to realize when they switch their thinking, when they switch your mind from one hemisphere to another hemisphere, how that's when you're gonna experience the healing. Everything that Neville Godard spoke about, that people are following so much, that they're posting so much videos about Neville Godard. It is about healing. Whether it's financial healing or emotional healing or whatever healing is healing. But I'm saying that it's on me healing humanity from since the dawn of time. So it can't be Neville own. It can't be attributed to Neville. It must be attributed to the source. It is the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N. It is the dawning of a new day in your life. When the sun arises in you. An awakening experience is the rising of the sun in you. A self-realized man is a man who realizes his pure energy, his light. Is a man who sees God face to face. Because he take his God eye to see the eye of God. It's when the pineal open, you see God face to face. And you won't get the blessing. That's why whatever I bless, it bless on earth and it bless in heaven. And whatever I cause, it cause on earth and it cause in heaven too. Because I've been given the key. So my brother and my sisters, those of you who are listening to me, and you believe what I'm saying, and you know I could help you. Okay. I definitely encourage you to. You can either get my books, the links should be down below, or you can wait for when I put out the 9 morning course, the challenge for the 9 mornings. Okay, which would be 9 morning preferably if you're not going to a job, a 9 to 5. Okay, preferably. Okay, where you're less busy. So even if you're walking and you want to take the 9 morning challenge and you want to wait until you get your vacation when you have the time, it would be better. It would be very much better. You see, what people fail to realize, right? There's a lot of people was manifesting certain things in the time of COVID, but they can't explain it. I could. There's a reason why this whole scamdemic, pandemic, they only could have carried for 2 years. So while some people was fighting to keep their jobs because they do not understand solar magic, they were trying to protest and do all of these things. It's utilize the solar power. Let me say something before I close. Okay, I ain't going no longer. Okay, I'm gonna close. But let me say this. I wrote a book called Bukumembe Resort and the Messenger. Okay, and I wrote my experience there working on a resort where I walk off the job and I told the people, I'm not an indentured servant, I'm not a slave. Okay. Because the way how certain privilege was given to certain people based on the color of their skin and all of these things. And I knew something was wrong. And I was willing to lose the job. Okay, and I walk off the job. But it was my imagination I used was to get the job. But at the time I wasn't quite aware of it. Okay, so I was using the solar power, but I didn't know the solar power I was using. I was using sun power. I didn't know sun power because why? They would have already blinded me before with a sun, with a SON. So the sun could blind you while the sun could give you sight, help you to see. Just like a light. The light could blind you, and the same light you could blind you could open up the way for you to see. Well, that's what happened with me. Okay? So I was using the solar energy and I didn't know it was the solar energy. And this is what happened to me. Okay, while working at the resort, there was a family, a Caucasian family. I was giving that Caucasian family some exercise in what you call spinning. Okay, ride the stationary bike. So we're doing spinning and the music wasn't working at the time. I didn't put up the music in the at the resort. Okay, and so I told the family what we would do. We would do the spinning, but we're gonna do it in an imaginary way, and I would lead them in the imaginary ride, and I'm gonna take them to a place called Fort Charlotte, okay, my country, and bring them back. Okay, and I did that in my imagination. Okay. And something revealed something to me. Okay. Which I wasn't going to at this time. And I react a certain way and the family react. And I use my action, their reaction and everything and see and so on. Okay. And basically, let me just say, mind power was used. Okay, because I had him to think a certain way. Okay, and he did think that way, and I could see when everything changed, the look, everything changed off his face and everything and all of that. Okay, and so I was operating in a power, but I didn't realize and know the power I was really operating in. Okay, but later on now, when I become more aware, I realize that we naturally carry this thing because it's a download. Okay, we actually carry this thing in our DNA. So in my book called Meditate to Eradicate Poverty, I highlight it when I was a little boy where I go in the mango trees, that 4 or 5 people already went up in the mango tree and look for mango and they didn't get any, and I was going it and I find 2 and 3 and 4. I say use my imagination, tell my imagination where I would like to go and find mangoes on that tree. And my aunt used to ask me what kind of little boy I am. So you're carrying something all along, but you don't know it. So I'm saying, what people receive from Neville is because they've been carrying something all the time. It's not something new. It's not no new knowledge. It's an ancient knowledge. And I'm saying this to my brothers and my sisters, my melanated brothers and sisters who are still asleep and who need to wake up. But I'm saying it to everybody. Okay? The sun in you wants to wake you up. The sun in you wants to make you more aware of his presence. And what Neville taught would always be taught, because there's nothing new under the sun. It's just sun teaching. It's solar teaching. It's solar science. That's why I would always be a solar man. I would always be a solar man. A man of light. A man who believes in the sun as his provider, as his healer. We don't worship the sun. We utilize the knowledge that it gives us and operate through action in the wisdom of the science and technology. Wallace Wattles call it the thinking stuff from which all thing comes from. It's the sun. The thinking stuff. It's always vibrating. Many people don't come in contact with him. So more people need to come in contact with him. The sun never changes. The sun doesn't care about the color of your skin. The sun doesn't care about your geography. The sun doesn't care anything about your degrees. The sun doesn't care anything about that. What you put before the sun gonna walk up on it. That's why you have all kind of people in this world that are rich. You have short men that are rich, you have tall men that are rich, you have thin men that are rich, you have fat men that are rich, you have ignorant and arrogant men that are rich, and you have cool and quiet men that are rich. You have all kind of people. And before I close, let me say I would have experienced both sides. So when religious and superstitious people try to speak against things like the law of attraction and manifesting consciously and deliberately, and they try to use words like witchcraft and all of these different things to bring fear. I've manifested things while I was trapped in secular Christianity, and I've manifested things here, okay, when I come to self-realization. So I know it's the one and same science. Plus, everything that's written in the Bible, I experience it. You see, once you understand the main character and you understand and you get the experiences of that main character, and you know what that main character represents, then you would know how to play the game of life. Okay, it's a game. So my brother, my sisters, Neville wasn't bringing any new knowledge. Okay, but he did a great work. Okay, in helping people to look within themselves. And that's the same thing I'm doing. But I'm just taking it from a different angle, knowing that I've been programmed from a child. So I'm telling you, you have to reprogram your subconscious mind. And there's only one way you can do it. You have to be willing to unlearn and relearn. If you grow up in a community like me, you have to be willing to unlearn and relearn, and then you can be reprogrammed. Okay, so before I close, let me say, if you're interested in learning more about my inner sun science and technology to create your reality consciously, and you want to get through it very quick, you can set up a one-on-one with me, and we could go through some discussion. I show you in the Bible where this ancient science technology is there throughout the entire Bible. That ancient science and technology is there. Okay, it's been written in many different books in many different ways, but it's the same one ancient science and technology that is there. Okay, if you'd like to get my books, you can check out the links that are down below. Okay, so my brother and my sister, keep believing in yourself, love yourself, and remember that the sun, the SUN, is the light of the world. So with that being said, I just want to say peace, love you all, out.